Welcome to the Conscious Pivot Podcast with international speaker, business mentor, best-selling author of Pivot, and your host, Adam Markel. The Conscious Pivot shares the stories and wisdom of people who have successfully reinvented some area of their business and personal life. You'll gain powerful insights into how you can fully embrace new opportunities, increase your performance, and master the art and science of innovation and resilience. So please join Adam as he guides you on your conscious pivot.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Conscious Pivot. I am so happy to be here with you. Feel really blessed to be here in the divine presence of another person that I absolutely love. So I get to share someone with you in this podcast episode today. And before we go there, I just want to remind myself, as well as all of you that are watching, listening, how blessed we are to be able to take this breath, to be able to share a breath together. What a sacred moment. Again, it's a reminder. I remind myself all the time that as I'm experiencing this breath right now, there are people who are taking their very last breath. And I don't look at that as a sad thing. I just see the opportunity that exists in this moment for all of us. And I feel very lucky and fortunate. And I hope that as you're doing whatever you're up to, whatever you're doing, whether it's work related, or you're driving, or you're running, or you're doing something else that hopefully is bringing you joy, that in this moment that you can experience joy and peace and harmony and love and appreciation for the fact that we get to be here. So with that said, I get to introduce, as we know, I don't really do introductions, but I still want to start by saying that I absolutely adore this lady, and known her not very long, less than a year at this point, but I met her at an event, a CEO space event that I go to quite frequently with some dear friends, and her name is Patricia. Again, it's not coming out. Patricia Barnett. I don't know why I was stuck on the P's. So Patricia, thank you so much for being on the Conscious Pivot. And I know we rescheduled this a couple of times. It's been a little challenging just to get it scheduled, but it's at long last. We're here together, and that is exciting. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Adam. And what we know is that it's all in perfect timing, right? All in divine timing, all in perfect timing. And I absolutely love, Adam, how you open the call today. This idea that this breath, this collective breath that we get to have together, that we're so blessed to be in the midst of this presence and to have this opportunity to have a day. I believe that today is the first day of the rest of our lives. And so in this, we have the opportunity, even this morning, to have some very profound shifts, even profound pivots. And this has the opportunity to really be a game changer for someone today who's listening in, who's ready for a pivot, or maybe in the midst of a pivot. And
Quite possibly.
Quite possibly. So it's an honor.
It is indeed. So Patricia, would you share a little bit about your background and what it is that you're doing now? What are you passionate about? Where are you putting your energies and your love?
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to start with that one because it's just so giddy. I'm like a little girl in a candy shop, just so passionate about my work and passionate about what I'm here to be and do and create in this lifetime. And that is really to inspire, empower, and elevate women, especially women in business and women in the field of network marketing. I'm working right now really focusing in on those women to really achieve the level of success in which they desire. Coaches in the industry, we have a lot of coaches in the industry, and I work with a lot of coaches as well. And my mission, my passion really is to help to create the space and place for people to thrive and to ultimately fly in living their truth and living their dreams. Because what I believe is that our dreams are dreaming us, Adam. And there are so many dreams that have yet to be fulfilled, have yet to be lived, have yet to be created. And that's what I'm here to do, is to help people through the pivot process and stand for people in the gap of where they are right now and where they would really love to be, because that's what we're here for, right? Elevating. And what I love is the accelerating, in the idea that we can have the opportunity to really leapfrog to be more and more and more that we're called to be. So that's my work in the world. And I have some special projects coming up and programs specifically for those types of people in those industries that will be released very, very soon. And my passion is working with people and individuals and speaking and teaching and traveling and really elevating and accelerating growth and really putting the miracle grow on, and teaching a formula of what I call the magic wand principles, where, oh my goodness, I'm going to use this as an example. If we all had a magic wand, which we all do, you know, how would we use that, and what would we create with that? And is there really a formula, and could all things be possible? I say yes, yes, yes. When we think in a certain way, when we act in a certain way, and when we're grateful all along the way. So
Beautiful.
that's my work. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. So I'll play the devil's advocate a little bit here. So that sounds wonderful.
Yay.
And that's juicy, and
Yeah.
that's lovely. And so has your life always been so neat and orderly and juicy and lovely?
You know, Adam, no. And this is where, you know, this is where we think about the mastery of being able to know the process or principle of having a magic wand and being able to use it effectively time and time and time again. And no, my life has had times in which it's been really, really tough. And I have not always been on the path and always been in an elevator and accelerating and on that rocket ship. All
right.
growth.
So what I want to do then is take us to a time where you had to pivot. You've used the word pivot a couple of times, so I appreciate that. That's lovely. I'm not sure if that's a part of your usual lexicon, although I know your husband read the book Pivot at a certain point, which was pivotal for him. So that was an interesting synergy or something. It was a serendipitous time a few months back when that occurred. So I'd love to check in with you on that. But let's keep it for now to a pivot in your life, whether it was recent or it was, you know, farther away than recent times. But what was the situation? What happened? Where'd you go? And, you know, how'd you get from there to somewhere else? So.
I love it. And no, I don't use the word pivot often, but I am here with the master of pivoting, and, you know, you wrote the book on it. So when we think about that word, and even in coming into this time with you this morning, I was thinking about times in my life when I have had that opportunity to pivot. And I will take you to a place and a space. And what is interesting to me is, as I look back, the pivots started as like feeling like I was in a quicksand, you know, like totally stuck. How will I ever get out of here? And that happened with an opportunity to have a health challenge. And this particular health challenge, where I had had health challenges a lot of my life, this particular health challenge was one that I had the opportunity to sit across the desk from a doctor who said, eventually, after a lot of diagnoses and a lot of opportunities to go through treatment, I had an opportunity to be with a doctor who said, "You're at the end of the rope here. We have one more shot. We're going to bring out the big guns. And the chances of you making it through this are far less than not. And so what I encourage you to do is go home and pray for a miracle." And Adam, you know, that's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? You know, to be given that kind of news and to have had these health challenges that continue to mount it. You know, I mean, it started as one thing, and then it went to another, and then it went to another, and it went to another, and it went to another. until then, I'm face to face with a doctor who has a diagnosis. And the greatest thing about this part of my life story is that I had an opportunity to work in this field of self-development, of transformation, of leaning in and getting to know the opportunity to believe, or at least think, that there could be a possibility of another way. And so where, I was in the midst of that conversation, the good news for me is I had been in the midst of this kind of conversation in growing a business in the industry of network marketing. I have 25 years experience in that industry. And in that industry, when I first got into that business, I didn't have business experience, and I didn't have really educational experience. I didn't have a lot of experience, no degree, no diploma, no business experience. And it was an opportunity where I saw that I could have the ability, based upon the fact that there was an even playing field, that I could really go somewhere within that industry and in that business. And in a very short time, in 2 years, I reached the top of the company and six-figure income, and really top in the industry itself, and became a master trainer. And in this kind of conversation, not even in the kind of conversation, but in the conversation of living our dreams and creating what it is that we would love. And that helped to elevate, along with working with a coach personally and privately, to have that elevation, to have that acceleration, to have that pivot, where there was a day in which I was looking at working 60 hours in a bag manufacturing plant, looking out the window saying, there's got to be a better way, to then finding that opportunity and finding my way there, and knowing that there's a formula for success, and then having the opportunity to be I say opportunity because I really believe it to be one of the greatest opportunities I've been given in my life, although I never want to repeat it. The opportunity to have a diagnosis in my health, to realize, wait a minute, if there was a formula for success and elevation in business to reach the top, what if we use that same formula and live that through the process of coming out of the other side of what a doctor shared with me would have to be a miracle.
What was the health challenge?
So it was a diagnosis of, it was a type of Hodgkin's lymphoma, where it started as being one of the best diagnoses a person can have. And then it turned into a refractory diagnosis, which means it just kept coming back and coming back. And every time it would come back bigger. And so that's when, they'd get the bigger guns and the bigger, treatments, until finally I was in a stem cell transplant. I was in California at one of the great treatment centers for stem cell transplant, where it was full body radiation, high dose chemotherapy, and the opportunity to really find the power within, to know how to utilize all of the things that we speak about, Adam, in this world of, transformational leadership, in this understanding that it's not only what we're doing in our day-to-day life, it's who we're being and what we're thinking, what we're internalizing, what we're believing, and how we're moving forward when we're taking those actions, taking the steps, and creating what it is that we would really love, right? So,
Patricia, when was this? When was the cancer?
That was 2000. I was diagnosed in 2000.
Okay.
So the stem cell transplant was in 2001.
2001. Yeah. And what was it? You were married at the time?
Yes. Actually, no. Adam, I say yes. We, my husband and I, when I was diagnosed, I was dating a man that I was madly in love with, and we were engaged. And then the diagnosis came. We were planned to be married, and the diagnosis came. And with that, so did my, my hair, all of the things that happen when a person goes through that kind of treatment came along with it. Side effects.
So you lost your hair.
lost my hair. And
Yeah.
so
And there were other side effects.
other
And
side effects, yeah.
you had met him before?
I had.
Yeah. So did that impact your relationship with him at the time?
It's interesting. It impacted it in a brilliant way. The doctors told us in the beginning, Adam, that for people who come in, even married couples, it allows the opportunity for a couple to grow stronger together and come out on the other side more sound, more together than ever. And yet many times it causes a split and a shift and a separation for many married couples. So when the doctors shared with us that this is what normally happens, my husband made a decision then, and so did I, that would not be the separation would not be our story, that we would in fact grow together in this and become stronger in the midst of it. Yeah.
So in the midst of what was going on, the doctor said, this has sometimes a negative impact on a relationship. People don't always come through this. They might come through it physically, but they don't always come through it relationally.
Yeah.
And you guys made a conscious decision at that point. Did you have a conversation? Did you just look at each other? What was that moment like? I'm just trying to bring myself back to that point.
It was a magical moment in a connection, because when the doctor said that, we left the office. We did look at each other to, eye to eye, which way do you see this going? We had a little wink with each other. And when we left, we had a conversation about it. So what do you see here? And my husband said, what I see here is that, we're going for this. And I said, yes, we're going for it. And not only did he step up and step in and lean in and support me in a way as if we were married, he was a superstar all along the way, and really instrumental in the conversation after we had that initial conversation about a relationship. And then he was with me every step of the way. When I would start to go down, he would be there, right, to help get me up. And when we had the conversation finally with the doctor about a year and a half later, who said, now, because it had gone away, come back, go to an elevated treatment, gone away, come back, elevated treatment. And here's the interesting thing, Adam, that I found after going through that process is, had you called me at any time during the way and asked, hey, Patricia, how are you doing? You would have gotten a response like, I'm great, I'm well, we're going for this, we know where we're headed, and all things are great, even though it was some of the hardest work I've ever done in my life. And what I noticed, Adam, is through the process, what I would have also told you is, and if this doesn't work, they have something else for me. And if this doesn't work, they have something else for me. What I noticed is that my attention was on, and if it doesn't work, then there's something else they have for me. And it wasn't until that last conversation, that final conversation, when the doctor said, okay, we're at the end. We have one more thing. And if that doesn't work, it doesn't work. And that's when I noticed, oh, my mindset, where has my mind been set? My mind was set all through the process. If this doesn't work, then there's something else. I was set on the something else. And it was in that last conversation with that particular doctor that my husband and I left the room, and we were walking through a parking lot going to our car. My husband just kind of brushed up against me and he said, how you doing? And I said, it was interesting, just been given news like that. Okay, where are we going from here? Adam, standing in the middle of a parking lot, we stopped. And my husband said to me, it was brilliant, are you going to buy into what the doctor said? Or are you going to create where you're headed next? And it was really in that moment where I had really seen, for all that time I had been focused on, there's something else if this doesn't work. And so then the brilliant and magical moment of seeing, wait a minute, there is nothing else there. So let's take this pivot, take this direction, take this focus to where I would really love to be. Because what I know is that my God's in the miracle business. And even if he had told me there was no hope, zero chance, I would know that there would be a shot for me. So my attention immediately went to a vision of where I would be when all of this was over. And my vision that came immediately, the dream that was dreaming me, was a vision of being in Hawaii and being with my husband and having fun and being healthy and being, who I was meant to be, who I am meant to be, which is who I am today. And within 2 years, I had found my way to Hawaii magically, quite magically. I didn't make a trip to Hawaii. I found myself sitting in a plumeria tree in Hawaii 2 years later from the very vision, and it was the exact vision that I had created in that moment when my husband said, where are you going from here? Decide now. Let's take a peek now and let's decide where we're going. And in that moment, it wasn't just Hawaii. I had never been to Hawaii. It was the feeling of Hawaii. It was smelling. It's like as if I could smell the plumeria. And I had never even known what plumeria was, Adam. But that day in that parking lot, when I was faced with which direction am I headed, I could see clearly and feel it, smell it, taste it, touch it. I could taste the salt water. I could feel the sun on my skin. I could hear the laughter and fun and the luau happening. I could see the dolphins playing and the whales breaching. And in my heart, what I could feel was this. Yeah, all is well. And in that, through this process, and that was before I ever went through a stem cell transplant, through which is one of the hardest things I have ever done, through the regimen in which I was given for that stem cell transplant. And that is what my focus was. That is what my GPS was. That is what my vision was every day, every step of the way through that process.
Yeah. Patricia, how is it that you've used that experience going forward? I'm making an assumption here that something that's so life-threatening and life-altering, and to come through the eye of the needle the way you did, so gracefully, I would say, especially having your guy by your side, this somebody that's stuck there, stuck with you, and also gave you what sounds like great feedback at a really difficult moment.
Mm-hmm.
How did you use that? How have you used that going forward? And has there been another opportunity to apply it in a moment where either there was some risk, some fear, some, I don't use the word catastrophe, but just something that caught you off guard? Because I assume the cancer caught you by surprise.
Yeah, it absolutely did. I was working with my coach at the time, and at the top of my game, right? 30 years old, heading up, and then having that diagnosis that seemed to be out of the blue. And I remember calling my coach that day, and he said, there's one thing that I want to share with you that will make all the difference in the world. And I was scared, I was mad, I was irritated. And he said, Patricia, embrace this. Embrace this. Don't fight it. Embrace it. And I thought to myself, are you kidding me? Embrace this? And he said, I promise you, there is goodness within this. I promise you there are gifts within this. I promise you that there is so much good for you in this. And your opportunity is to be open to see it and receive it. And so from that beginning, that is where I was open to looking for what could be good in this. Like in all of this manure, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. And so in that, what I found through the process, and you're asking, you know, really, what did I glean from it? What did I take from it? And how have I used it moving forward? Is the idea that there is no such thing as a bad day. As long as we're alive, as long as we're breathing. That's why to come into this time this morning with the breath of life, oh my goodness, to know that there is no such thing as a bad day. And one of my mantras now, how I use that now, is if we live to tell about it, then it's all good, right? Even money problems, and I've had my opportunities to see money or life problems or have challenges. It's not as though we go through this and we're never challenged again. But what I know is that, you know, if it's about money, it's not really that big of a deal. If money can fix it, it's really not that big of a deal, because when we're talking about life itself, you know, as long as we can live to tell about it, we're okay. So the idea that there is no such thing as a bad day, and, you know, this idea of vision, where will we put our attention? To have that opportunity to see where I had been putting my attention, even though I was so positive, where was I focused? And then to see the power of focus, power of the vision, and the power of walking in faith. And so, you know, there was so much to learn, the importance of family, the importance of love itself and life itself, the richness, the blessings, the gratitude, just even of the breath. And what I remember, Adam, is coming through all of it, recovering in our new home. We had purchased a home in California, and I was there recovering, and my coach called me and he said, "Okay, Patricia, now you're back, you know, you're back. You're ready to get back out there on the field." And he said, "What's next?" And I said, his name is Steve. I said, "Steve, I'm good. I have just made it to the top in business. I have just made it through this. I'm good. I'm really good. I'm just going to hang out here for a little while and enjoy the moment." And he was so brilliant. He said, "Patricia, I honor you, but here's the thing. In life, you're either growing or you're dying." And I have to say, Adam, I was a little shocked, a little taken back, and I thought, you just said that to me? I just made it through all of that, and you're telling me that I'm either growing or dying? And he said to me, he said, "Patricia, I don't know when it will happen for you, but mark my words, it will happen. If you don't get back out there and put your vision out and continue to elevate and continue to grow and continue to evolve and continue to become, you will become stale, you will become stagnant. And when there's stagnation, there is stagnation, we actually go the other way, right? We're either going forward or going backward. There is no hanging out." And I said to him very gratefully, "Thank you very much, but I know where I am." And he was exactly right. I had reached the top within network marketing company and business and industry. Money was great. My health was back. Great relationship with my family and friends. I had this new lease on life. And pretty soon, very soon, there became a feeling within me of not really understanding. Everything looked so good. Everything was so good. But there was this feeling, Adam, within me that I wasn't feeling fulfilled. There was almost like this sense of unfulfillment, and, you know, like it wasn't significant. All this beautiful blessings that I had lived for. And yet there was just this feeling of, I'm not loving my life. I'm just not loving my life. This life that I had gotten a new lease on. And it was in that moment where I was given another opportunity to pivot before I had to go back down the chute where I had just come from, to really get into a space and a place to realize, wait a minute, I'm not feeling fulfilled. I'm not living and growing and becoming and really loving my life. And I had heard this woman who I ended up working with, Mary Morrissey. She was at a conference and she said, the people who I work with, they wake up every day and they just like go into their life and they say, I love my life. And I was thinking to myself as I heard her, okay, that sounds pretty good. Maybe I could get to, I really like my life. But the idea that I could literally wake up, jump out of bed, I love my life. And I had been in that opportunity going through a stem cell transplant, being so grateful for it, and then come to another opportunity to pivot again. The interesting thing about the pivots, Adam, that I noticed through my life is that in the beginning, they were quicksand moments or felt really hard to get out of, really like sucked in or really stuck. And then there were moments in which I was moving and almost felt like I was on a hamster wheel, but how do I get some traction? How do I gain traction? How do I move forward? And then going into opportunities where then it feels like I'm moving, but hitting a ceiling. And now realizing that pivots, they don't have to be hard. Pivots, the more we pivot, the more we evolve, the more we elevate, the more opportunities we have to pivot into what we would really love in our lives, so that ultimately we can wake up in the morning and come to the day saying, I love my life. What's on the agenda for today? It's like Christmas every day, birthday every day, loving life every day and in every way.
Patricia, this is uncanny and very interesting. I'm sure my listeners are thinking the same thing, but I'll get to that in a second. What's one thing that's a practice of yours? What's a ritual or a practice that you use to keep yourself grounded and reminded of all those amazing lessons in life that you've learned?
There are a couple, Adam. One that I love so much is meditation. I love meditating. I love being. I love the opportunity to know that I am one with a source, a force greater than myself, and to simply be in the midst of that, to tap into the power within myself and to simply be in that, immerse myself in that in meditation. And I love gratitude and I love moving, getting out there and moving. I love to walk and be in nature and connect.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Patricia, we're going to wind things down, and I want to thank you so much for spending time with us. It is no coincidence. Well, whether I believe in them or not, it's not really the issue, but I don't actually, I don't think there are any coincidences. And the words that you spoke, Mary is a friend of mine, and it's so great to hear those words, because we've been sharing a practice. In fact, the ritual that we'll end with is the ritual we remind people of each podcast, that they get the opportunity tomorrow to wake up. That, again, how funny, magic wand, I'll pick up the magic wand that you spoke about. And we wave that magic wand, or at least let's you and I take the opportunity to wave a magic wand, so that everybody that's listening, everybody that's watching, listening, gets to wake up tomorrow. And by that, physically and spiritually, metaphorically, to wake up, to raise our consciousness, just the opportunity to be a little more conscious tomorrow than we are today. What a blessing. What an incredible gift that would be to the world and to ourselves, of course. So three pieces to the formula for how to begin a day using a morning ritual. And the first is to wake up. And in that waking breath, in that waking moment, to appreciate how holy and how sacred that moment is. Yes, because there will be people who are taking their last breath as well, but also how humbling it is to know that we've been given another day and that there is an assignment for us, whether we're aware of it consciously, not seeking it, not whatever that is, that we can have the recognition and that awareness that there's something special, there's something meaningful in being given another day, given, and willing to receive it fully and do something with it, even more importantly. So wake up, be in a space of gratitude, and to stand up. What a blessing it is just to be able to put your feet on the floor and stand up. Not everyone can even do that, but whether you're sitting or standing or lying down, that the first words, the first conscious communication out into the universe are these words: I love my life. I love my life. I love my life. Thank you for that reminder, Patricia. And thank you for your presence on the Conscious Pivot today. And everybody else, have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. And we'll see you on the next episode. Ciao for now.
Thank you. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We hope you now have the tools and greater insights to navigate your own pivot. Help us inspire others by sharing this episode and leaving your comments over at adammarkel.com/podcasts. For more tips, strategies, and support as you consciously pivot into a new business and lifestyle you love, join our Pivot community on Facebook at pivotfb.com.